now. So, okay, let's start by showing the wireframe. So I'm gonna give you guys the wireframe link right now. So here's the wireframe link. I'm gonna post it in here first. I posted it in the chat, and then I'm gonna post it in the project. Okay, so just give me a moment while I do this. Guys, this is the first time we've had a wireframe game, so I'm very interested to see how this plays out. So during this time, we're just gonna be letting everybody check out the wireframe so that they know what's going on.
Let's get fucking crazy.
Let's do that and that. Hopefully everybody sees it. And then it's funny because all of these have different comment syntax, so I can't just copy it over on all of them. So that is the wireframe on everything there. And now I'm going to pull it up on the stream here so you guys can see it. So this is the wireframe, guys. This is what they have to build. This is it. So I'm gonna kind of go over it. I'm just gonna kind of scroll through it so you guys can see it. Of course, I did post a link in the chat, so if you guys want to see it, you know, on your own browser, that's what you're gonna have to do on your computer. But I'm just gonna do this once. So I'm scrolling through this. So we have the header up there. We have the content, the mid content right there, the lower content. We have some more boxes here. So both teams have to pretty much make this wireframe out of HTML and CSS. That is the goal of this project. So can they do it? Can they do it? So I'm going to post the link one more time in the chat, and that is the last time you guys are going to see this wireframe. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm going to pull up the wireframe every now and then. Okay, so we do have the objectives imported right there. So load product list from array. So those are objectives. So they have to load the product list from an array with an animation. Also, they have to add an add to cart functionality. And last but not least, they have to have a full width video background that auto plays at the start of the website. And it does. Okay. And it also can't have any audio or controls. So that is important. Those are the objectives. And it looks like, I mean, that's pretty much it. Okay, now my moderators, you guys are just going to have to go into the drive and find the objectives in text form there, or wait for the objectives to show up on the screen and jot them down real quick to have it. But guys, because we're going to have the objectives showing up on the screen every now and then, but it looks like we are about to start the game right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do the 10-second countdown to start the game. So get ready, guys. So we're going to start it right now. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're starting the game right now. There is a 5-second countdown before the actual countdown begins, and we just do that so that both teams have enough time to actually start the game. Can my moderators please give me the direct link to the website so that I can have that open already in a separate tab? Also, actually, we're going to want to post that anyways in the chat so that others can tune in. So guys, hashtag hype train. We're about to start DevWars. Actually, we have already started DevWars. What am I talking about? Okay guys, so it looks like Red Team has already kind of started on their HTML, already importing their stuff. Over here on the red team, they are importing their fonts already. You know, so far I would say that red team is doing a fantastic job. Now, red team, every player on red team is our friends, so they kind of organized themselves before the game started. Ah, wow, that is a long name. Annie Rudd Habara Rappa Tre la 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 la. Thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy DevWars. Okay, so those are the objectives right there on the screen. I know it's kind of elongated, but you guys are just going to have to bear with it. So yes, on the red team, they are an organized set of players. They know each other already, but they are versing, you know, experts in this field as well. So it's kind of interesting to see how this game will pan out. So again, on the red team, on the CSS side of things, the pill is already kind of doing the right thing by importing that Roboto font, and it's good to have a custom font in the website right away because typography is important in web design. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. There is statistics that say approximately 80 to 90% of web design is typography. Now, that's huge. If those numbers aren't big enough for you, then you need to change something, man. I mean, when you're doing web design and you look at statistics like that, you need to adjust whatever you're doing to make sure that the typography is, 100%. I mean, it's really crazy. A lot of people have this misconception that web design is all about images, here and there, and then all these flashy things. But I mean, again, typography. You guys got to select the right fonts for the right industry, and then you guys got to have enough text too. Like, it's not too much text. You have to have the right text to image ratio and stuff like that. But anyways, we are playing our first web design, DevWars game with Wireframe. So we did post the Wireframe link in the chat. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to open another tab right now, and that's just going to give me the ability to switch back and forth between the live previews. My moderators did post the live preview links in the chat as well, so if you guys are interested in checking out what these guys are accomplishing in your own browsers, you are more than welcome to do so. Just in the chat, click the link that It's the Fox posted, and you'll be able to do just that. Okay, so we have a good amount of CSS. I mean, right now, it's kind of looking even. There's no saying which team is ahead and which team isn't. I mean, red team has more lines of code in total, accumulatively, but I mean, we're only like 4 minutes in, guys. Anything can happen. I mean, we've seen games turn around within, the last couple minutes. So, I'm just going to be doing my very best to commentate on everything that's going on. Rockin' Colton, welcome to DevWars. I hope you are enjoying the stream. Okay, so we have the layout taking place on both sides. Now, I'm just going to be pulling up the wireframe one more time so you guys can see exactly what they're trying to build. And so look at this, guys. I'm going to post the image link again in the chat so you guys can see. This is the wireframe. Both teams are trying to replicate this to the best of their ability, and a wireframe is supposed to be very vague so that we're still giving them the incentive on creating a good design, so they can interpret this wireframe completely differently. So both sides will have their own interpretation, of course. So yeah, this is it right here. It is an e-commerce website. That is the theme of it. So they do have to follow that theme. But yeah, so they can do whatever they want with it. At the end of this game, you guys are going to be voting which team has the best design, which team, coded their website closest to the wireframes, and then you guys are also going to be voting on functionality. So all of those points will factor into determining who is the winner of this game for DevWars. Okay, so a lot of HTML posted over here on the red team. Look at that, guys. Just look at that. They have their UL for their nav bar. They've already kind of set their video div. They got their product div. They have their description div. And the description div is going to be where, all those tabs are going to be, as you guys saw in that wireframe. Now, for blue team, however, it looks like they might be struggling with some communication. That or the HTML guy is just, kind of trying to interpret the wireframe as we speak. So, I mean, again, we're like, at this point, we're like 7 minutes into the game, so we cannot really say the game is going one way or the other. But I can say that red team is doing a fantastic job. They are ahead as far as, that early game. because they have more code on here. I can only imagine that the coordination on Red Team is just superb. Again, you guys can tune in to the TeamSpeak channel so that you can listen in on either Blue Team or Red Team. You guys can hear what they are saying. Unfortunately, I can't hear what they're saying, and the viewers who are watching can't hear what they are saying because we can't possibly stream both teams at the same time. But we are going to have an interview with the teams, so if you guys, you know, do want to hear what the teams are saying, but you can't necessarily download TeamSpeak or connect, or you just don't want to, or maybe you're on your mobile device and, you know, you have no way of doing it, then luckily for you, we are going to be having an interview. We're going to interview Blue Team and Red Team and just kind of ask them some questions, and you guys are going to be able to hear them and see what they say. I mean, it's gonna go down. So about 8 minutes in now, both teams are doing a good job keeping up. It is interesting to see the JavaScript take place now too. A lot of DevWars games that we've seen, the JavaScript position has just kind of been left idle and just kind of waited on their HTML guy, which is a very bad way of playing, especially when you have 60 minutes on the clock. Because there are, even though you don't have content per se over here on the Red Team, I mean over here on the HTML or the CSS, JavaScript can still do things to prepare for that content, if that makes sense. So they can still have their document ready function, you know, typed out. They can still have their variables typed out. I mean, they can plan ahead of time to get things done. That way, as soon as they get the content, all they have to do is plug away and they have their working code. But I mean, of course, that kind of stuff depends on your experience in JavaScript, and it looks like both teams do have a lot of experience in JavaScript because they are doing just that. So over here on the Blue Team, they are creating their array of products. And that is one of the objectives that they need to complete. But on the Red Team, they are currently just working on their add to cart. So both teams are working on objectives, but they're just kind of choosing different objectives to work on first. And that's completely fine. There is no order that they have to work in or anything like that. So let's switch on over to the preview page and let's see what they've coded so far. I mean, of course, there's not going to be too much to look at here, guys, because, I mean, the website is just kind of now taking form. We're only 10 minutes in, and they're just kind of laying out the website. So you guys are going to have to be a little patient before we start seeing visual, you know, information on this website. So, but from what we see here, Red Team has a pretty close layout to the wireframe already. They're just setting up their layout in such a way to where their CSS guy can just go in there, select all of the classes, and work as quickly as possible. Because, guys, if you haven't heard me say it before, the HTML guy is very important because everybody is kind of tuning in on him. Because, you know, you see the CSS guy and the JavaScript guy cannot work faster than the HTML guy because it's like, think of music. Everybody is tuning to the drummer. The drummer sets the beat, and everything would be out of whack if everybody was kind of tuning to someone else. So that's why in music everybody tunes to the drummer, and that way everybody is in sync. So that's why HTML has a huge role in this game. They need to work as fast as possible to give their team enough headroom to work ahead of time. So that's what we're seeing over here on the Red Team. They coded their layout as quickly as possible. They imported all their scripts, you know, all their other documents so that their other teammates can be activated, if you will. So, guys, I would have to say that Red Team is, Red Team is on fire right now. So I clicked the wrong thing. Red Team is on fire. Yes, it is feeling hot over here. The pressure is real on this game. Okay, so, I mean, props to Red Team for putting on a show here, but guys, it is not over. Just because they are on fire does not mean they're gonna win. Because ultimately, you guys determine the winners of this game. So for those of you who are just now tuning in, we are playing DevWars a bit differently here. We are using Wireframe. So this is what the Wireframe looks like. Yes, literally on fire. I had to do that because players, I used to say literally a lot, and one of our viewers pointed that out, and it just kind of bugged me. Like, I didn't realize how much I said that word, so I kind of watched myself, and somebody caught me saying red team or blue team is literally on fire, and they kind of gave me crap for that. So now I can say red team is literally on fire. So great. Okay, so anyways, this is the wireframe both teams are trying to replicate, and I'm just going to have red team kind of side by side here so you can see what we have going on right here. So, okay, so where this green bit is right here, that is what you're looking at. Yeah, you guys can kind of see the association here. Okay, and then where this image is, that's where a video is supposed to go. So I'm sure they're just using an image as a placeholder for now. So, and it is kind of an interesting image. I'm not really sure. That is kind of an odd image to pick, but it looks like it's a concert. But none of that matters. I'm sure they're going to be switching it over soon to a video. Okay, now let's go ahead and see about the blue team. Let's see how their layout, their current layout, looks beside the wireframe. Okay, so I'm guessing that there's, okay, here we go. Yeah, there's not much done here, so we can't really see how close they are, but let's go back over to the code. Okay, and that's because there isn't very much targeted over here on the blue team as far as CSS is concerned, unfortunately. So let's see what they're working on right now. They are adding inline block to the cart. So it looks like they're kind of working on one thing at a time, whereas opposed to the red team, they are kind of working on everything at once. They aren't working on one specific thing per se. But over here, you can see that blue team is definitely working on just the header. That's the only thing they're concerned about as far as CSS is concerned. So Hip Lunatic, just kind of taking things one at a time. It's just a different way of working. Not necessarily, I can't say that one way is better than the other, but certainly Red Team did give us something to look at early on. Just about a quarter way into the game, they did give us something to look at. So, but then again, that doesn't mean that they're working faster, I would say. I don't know. It's just different ways of working. So, yes, they are working on just their header in here. They're just working on their styling, their user class, their cart class. You can see that over here. And actually, you know what? It might not even be that the CSS guy doesn't want to work on other things. We look over here, the HTML guy has not given his teammates enough content to work beyond the header. I mean, we have the footer here, but that's about it. But if we look over here at the red team, they do have their header in here. They have their video div, and we can see right here they are adding their video as we speak to be their background. So we're going to be seeing that. They already selected their YouTube video. They have it auto playing right here in the attributes. And of course, they're going to have to make it to where it doesn't play audio and, you know, remove the controls completely. And over here below that, we see they do have their product class selected and everything like that. Their description class, which is, you know, I mean, we didn't say it was called a product class. We didn't say it was called a, you know, description class or whatever they named it, and that's fine because both teams should have a different interpretation of this wireframe. So let's go ahead and see what the blue team has so far beside the wireframe. And again, there's really not much to look at here. It almost looks like there's no CSS. I mean, there is CSS, and most of that's going on over here. So we have the view card to the left as opposed to the right. We have the login and log out there. But I would say that's about the extent of the styling. It's just this header right here. Okay, now let's switch on over to the red team. Let's see what they have accomplished. beside this wireframe. Okay, so yeah, it kind of still looks the same here, and that's probably because they haven't hit the save button yet, even though we did see changes in the HTML document. We're just gonna go back to the code here. Are they allowed to use normalize or reset.css? They cannot create a new document, but they can add reset selectors and properties into their current CSS. So for example, I mean right here, I would consider this a reset right here, adding margin 0 and padding 0 over here on the body class. Or you can even use the all selector, which is the asterisk, and set whatever reset you want. We have seen teams use box sizing on everything before in CSS, and that's fine. I've seen that before as well. Okay, so let's just kind of see what they're working on right now. So over here, blue team does have a div over here named contact, which is pretty interesting because content. Okay, content. I was gonna say we don't have a contact form on the wireframe. I'm not sure how they interpreted that, but I just read that incorrectly. So that's content. That's what they have here. Content. And that's going to be where the products are going to go, because this is an e-commerce site. So over here in the CSS on the blue team, I don't see what he's working on currently. He might be just at a standstill waiting for his HTML guy to add more content. And then over here we do see Sir Remog adding an image to the brand, which is probably going to be the logo. Yep. This is where the logo's going to go. And this is interesting. They have their logo outside of the UL tag. So the way they're doing it here is they have two UL tags, and all the links are inside of a UL tag. I feel like that's a more difficult way to go about it. If you look over here on the red team, they have their logo inside of their UL tag, so they have everything in the header inside of UL tag. The only difference is their middle content, which is where the logo is supposed to go. There's an image inside of that list item, and that's where the logo is going to go. And again, if we look over here at the blue team, they put that image outside of the UL tag. So that's just going to add some more selectors to their CSS document. Some more work has to be done on the blue team to accommodate for that layout structure. I mean, they can still accomplish the wireframe design by going about it this way, but again, I'm just sharing with you guys that there are different ways to design stuff. I mean, and that's why DevWars has educational value, is because you could kind of see that there is in fact different ways you could just structure your code, different properties you can use to style your code as well. I mean, we're seeing even in the JavaScript different syntax. I mean, just different ways to go about it. Okay, so I don't see very much going on in the JavaScript as we speak. But over here on the blue team, I am noticing that they are currently styling their right li tag, their right class. And I'm not seeing this class on here. So what that probably means is they have some communication going on where they are going to eventually have their HTML guy add the class, which is completely reversed. So normally the HTML guy is supposed to declare the class or the ID before anything else, but it looks like over here we have the complete opposite. We have the CSS guy declaring the classes and selectors that he's going to be using. And I can only imagine that the only way to accommodate for that is through communication. So again, if you do want to listen in on blue team or red team, we do have a TeamSpeak, and I'm just going to post, actually one of my moderators can post the link in the chat. it's the IP for our TeamSpeak server, and you can use that, connect, and you could, you know, listen in on either the blue team or red team. They are communicating as we speak right now. So yeah, that's what's going on over here on the blue team. Let's go ahead and see what the red team has accomplished beside the wireframe. Again, guys, this is the first time DevWars has ever used wireframes in our games. And so we do have a bit of styling issues over here, and that's probably because this green part right, oh well, they just fixed it, but that's probably because this green part over here is a fixed height. So if they just set this height to auto, they can probably have this text automatically you know, fit inside of here in the center. As long as they have some padding on here top and bottom, they should be completely fine. And then we do have a red team going with, I guess this is my website. I guess that's what they're creating over here. Now let's look over here on the opposite team. Okay, so I'm like super zoomed in there. Okay, so let's refresh. Let's refresh this website that they got going on over here. Okay, so we have more content added. I mean, more content as far as HTML is concerned. I don't really see too much crazy CSS to really showcase their design, but they are working on this as we speak. It looks like they are going to go with a computer-themed e-commerce website. So they're probably going to be selling computers on this website or computer parts, where as opposed on the red team, I'm not really sure what they're going to be selling over here. They're selling something. This is my website apparently. You can see my name in this weird font. I mean, is this an image right here? It looks like it's an image. It looks like they took the time to make this an image, which is interesting. Okay, so let's head on back to this code. You guys can see right there on the screen the objectives that both teams are trying to accomplish. Those are mostly JavaScript-based objectives. Now, that doesn't mean that HTML and CSS don't have a role in achieving or helping achieve those objectives. That's what I meant to say. There we go. Okay, guys, so we're about 25 minutes in. So there's still plenty of time left on the clock. I do notice a little spelling error over here. I mean, I'm sure he's going to discover this soon. I mean, it's not that big of a deal this early on, but I just think that's hilarious. So let's see what they're working on down here on the blue team in the HTML. It looks like he's about to create something. We have the opening tag right there, but he hasn't done anything just yet. Cecil Burka, welcome to DevWars. We hope you're enjoying the stream. Thank you for the follow. I missed it. What are the objectives and the site? Okay, well, for those of you who are just now tuning in, I'm going to pull up the wireframe right now. So this is what the wireframe looks like. I'm going to post the wireframe link in the chat as well if you want to open that up in your own browser, because I'm not going to have the wireframe open at all times. So both teams are trying to create this layout, and this is the first time we've seen wireframes being used on DevWars. Also, the theme of the website is e-commerce. So both teams are trying to create an e-commerce. Now, what they sell or whatever kind of e-commerce industry they're in, that's completely up to them. I mean, we've seen right here on the blue team, they are going with a computer-based e-commerce website, and that's completely fine. I mean, it's however they interpret the wireframe. You know, I mean, the wireframe is just a very vague set of instructions. Okay, now as far as those objectives, honestly, I don't remember them off the top of my head. You're just going to have to wait for the objectives to pop back up on the screen. They do show up every 2 minutes for 30 seconds. So that is the way it shows up on the screen here. Okay, so it looks like red team did notice that spelling error over here. So there's the objectives right there on the screen. So the first objective is they have to load a product list from an array with an animation. So it has to kind of load in like with an animation. That's what that means. And also, they have to make an add to cart functionality. So they have to be able to add these products to the cart. Also, the last objective is to have a full width video background that autoplays at the start of the web page, and it cannot have any audio, and it cannot have any controls as well. So those are the objectives. Now, if you know, depending on if they do them or not, it's going to affect their overall score. I mean, you guys are still going to be voting, but what's going to happen is whatever objective they didn't complete, we're going to have to deduct points from their score. So that's going to hurt. You don't want to have that happen to you. Now, for those of you who watched DevWars in the last episode, we did play a little bit differently. We had 5 set of objectives and a bonus objective. And we didn't use wireframes. There are no wireframes in the main way of playing this game. This is just a completely different game mode. We're trying to do something a little different, and we're going to constantly be doing different things as well. Syntech, can you update the game's objectives below the stream? I certainly can. That is a good point. Well, can one of my moderators please post the objectives in text form so that I could just do that very quickly? I don't want to spend too much time, you know, opening different windows and stuff like that. So as soon as I get that text, I'll just make the change real quick for you guys so that you guys don't have to wait for the objectives. Plus that objective is out of... Okay, so I totally have to refresh the page over here for the red team because it looks like they have some stuff going on over here. So let's refresh this right now. There we go. Okay, so DevWars, and then their call to action button is YOLO swag. So there you go. That's their call to action button. I would say it's a pretty good one. This website belongs to the mighty creator of DevWars, Syntech. I'll raise your pitchforks and praise Syntech for a minute. You heard them, guys. Praise me for a whole minute. No, not really. They're just joking around. Okay, so that's them, and that's the wireframe beside their website. And over here, eventually, they're gonna have to make this green bit here. They're gonna have to make this a video background, a full width video background. Now let's go ahead and switch over to the blue team, and now let's see how their website looks beside the wireframe. I mean, okay, so not very much has changed other than the color of the background, which is really cute, if I say the very least. But, okay, so since this website is going to be full width, however, I don't really see how the background is going to matter very much, the background on the body, because it's just going to be covered up by the divs in the end. And we do have some, like, padding, default padding and margin right here at the very top, and that's very common because by default, browsers add, you know, some styles to your website, so they're going to have to reset that if they want their divs to be, you know, tucked away correctly at the top right corner, touching up there. I mean, we did see the red team already did reset their CSS on their body so that we don't have that kind of issue over here. And this is just kind of standard stuff. So hopefully, you know, the blue team gets their stuff together. Because we're halfway into the game, and at this point I would be a little bit concerned because they don't have too much over here to look at on the blue team, and you know normally by now you should. Okay, so enough of that. Let's head back over to the code. Is there another one after this? The writing one. Yes, there is. We're going to have one more game, and if you guys are interested in playing in the next DevWars, please head on over to devwars.tv/play. Can one of my moderators please post a link in the chat to let other people know, you know, well, to give people the direct link just to click it and fill out the application. You guys are going to have to fill out the time slot for today's game at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That is when the next game is going to be. Also, can one of my moderators please give me the objectives in text form as well? Okay, guys, so let's see what's going on over here on the blue team because they do have some catching up to do. Okay, so this is where their content's going to go, right? And then this is where they're showcasing the tabs. So they are working on that. That's brilliant. That's good. Have has red team started that yet? Let's find out. No, they haven't even started that part yet. But I mean, red team still has a lot more HTML content over the blue team. But it looks like blue team is going into detail one div at a time. Okay, let's see how blue team responds to the HTML here. Okay, you guys can see there is absolutely no styling going on over here on the blue team. Are they just completely idle? What are they doing? Can one of my moderators please just kind of update everybody, or if anybody's, you know, watching the stream right now, or not the stream, but the listening in on the TeamSpeak for blue team, if they can just kind of update the chat as to what kind of communication is going on right now. Because, you know, this CSS has been the same way for a while here, and as I'm kind of just scrolling through this red CSS, they do have a lot of styles going on over here. Okay, so right now we do see some more styles going on. They're adding some color to the background over here on the right class. I mean, they got a lot of catching up to do over here on the blue team as far as styles is concerned, because, you know, HTML and JavaScript, I wouldn't say they're doing too bad, but Hip Lunatic, who's playing CSS on the blue team, needs to catch up, or else he could cost his team a lot of points on design. So there is 27 minutes left on the clock over here. And I mean, I would have to say, guys, red team is still on fire. So props to the red team. You can just see that, you know, it's a good thing that I'm standing a good enough distance from the fire. Not really. I'm actually shocked I didn't catch on fire myself there because of how hot red team is right now. Man, they're just killing it. And you guys can see the advantage here that red team actually organized their team prior to the game, so they do know each other, and they did apply in such a way where they would get their team set up like that. And I mean, once DevWars.tv launches, we're gonna introduce ranked games, and you guys are gonna be seeing more of that. Bro, you have something on your headphone. What the heck is this, bro? What the heck is this? I don't know how that got there. If somebody can please, you know, explain how this got there. I don't get it. I don't get it. Is it falling from the sky? No, that doesn't make sense. Anyways, I'm gonna focus in over here on the blue team because we need to see how they respond to the time here, because there's 25 minutes left on the clock. We're more than halfway into the game. There's more. No way. What the? Is this just randomly appearing constantly? Is this generating right now? But wait, there's more. Yes. I think it's part of his headphone. There's no way. Let me check. Okay. Okay, so I did get rid of all that. I'm glad you guys are paying a very close attention to me. Yes, I'm sweating rubber. That's what's happening right now. Okay, so now back to the game. Back to the game over here. Okay, finally, guys, we see they are creating the styles for the hero ID, and now this isn't the same cup of coffee. This is the third cup of coffee I'm drinking, and I do need to drink this, but I'm so focused on commentating over the game. So over here, guys, on the blue team in the CSS, they're finally styling that hero ID. Now, what that is that's where the video is going to go, as indicated over here. No. Yeah, that's where they're... It's just kind of awkward because... Okay. Yeah, so that hero is where their video is going to go. And he's adding clear, and that's interesting. Okay, so they probably just want to make sure that there is no disruption in the code, because they are using float over here on the navigation bar over here. Now let's see how red team went about it in their code. I mean, they're using display inline block, and guys, I have been using float in my workflow for like the longest time, but it wasn't until recently, actually one of my moderators has been just urging me to constantly just use display in block unless you absolutely have to use float. And okay, so he's obviously trolling there. You don't use floats for everything. I mean, yeah, red team is definitely going about it in more of a professional manner. I mean, I even see some flex properties over here in their code. But it looks like blue team doesn't have enough experience to back them up on this game. I mean, it's going to take a miracle to catch up on here unless blue team can interpret this wireframe in such a way to where their design looks beautiful, then they could win here, even though red team is far ahead of them. Okay. So, I mean, the most they did over here was just add some clear. I mean, guys, I could think of a ton of different ways they can, a ton of different properties they can add to that div alone based on just looking at the wireframe. I mean, they don't even need to wait for content per se. I mean, I'm going to pull up the wireframe right now, guys. Look at this. I mean, you could already just kind of style stuff based on this interpretation alone. Okay, so it looks like, you know, we're not really seeing that over here, but anyways, let's see what blue team's website looks like right now. Okay, so we finally see some stuff on the website, right? Okay, so they have their navigation bar right there. I mean, they still haven't resetted their body tag, and that's the reason why they have, you know, this padding or margin that's added by default on from the browser. And hopefully they fix. Okay, you guys can't see that, but I'm gonna zoom in. There is margin. It's just cut off by that border. You guys can't see it, but because of this overlay, it's not there. You guys can't see it, but okay, I can zoom out right there. Look at this. So this website is clearly not fluid, and the way to handle that is by using percentages, and obviously having some float hidden. Okay. So now let's switch gears on over to the red team and let's see what they have accomplished. I mean, I'm refreshing the page right now. We did see they are far ahead. Look at this, guys. Their product list is already starting to take form. It's already kind of starting to look like the product page. I mean, we currently don't see these. It does have to be in a 4-column grid, and we don't see that yet. But I'm sure they're just styling that as we speak. So guys, there's 20 minutes left on the clock. What can they accomplish? I mean, are they going to be able to finish this wireframe? You know, is red team even going to be able to accomplish this wireframe before the time ends here? We'll just have to see. We do see some funny CSS puns that are in the chat right now. So if you guys aren't participating in the chat, you totally should. If you guys are watching this and you don't have an account on Twitch, I totally recommend you do that right away. It only takes a couple seconds. You know, that way you can hit the follow button and stay up to date, you know, for all the latest DevWars stream. And also, you guys can participate in the chat. We do have some, you know, fun and interesting conversations and discussions that are just happening right now in there. And also, you guys would be able to vote in the end of this game. So you definitely want to register and be logged in during the game. Okay, so, I mean, there is like, I'm very disappointed over here on the blue team because there is not, just compared to the red team, look at all these properties that are added to these selectors, and, you know, that's a problem for the blue team because now it's just getting harder and harder for them to catch up. Angular is not allowed. That is a good question. Okay, but guys, I mean, blue team, just because their CSS is behind, they're only going to be taking a hit on some of the objectives. I mean, granted, they're going to take a pretty huge hit, but it looks like their JavaScript guy, JXT C-Man, who is playing JavaScript over here on the blue team, is doing a fantastic job. They do have a lead over here on the JavaScript, so props to him. He definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, I've been watching him. He's constantly just working over here, making sure that his team is not behind. I mean, his team is probably going to make up for that here. TLEI123. I'm just going to spell out your name. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to DevWars. Yes, so luckily blue team is going to accommodate for their loss on their design using their JavaScript guy. I mean, if JavaScript can accomplish all of these objectives and they can accomplish a good working JavaScript code, then they could potentially actually win, and that would be a major surprise. And obviously, blue team can ensure their win even more by working on their design and making sure they're just on top of it, because guys, there's not very much time left on the clock here. Okay, why are CSS animations against the rules? That is a good question, because for a web designer who looks at that, they're, especially if a web designer knows what they're doing, they're gonna look at that and be like, hey, that doesn't look right. CSS should always be utilizing animations as opposed to JavaScript. But the reason why we do it this way is so that JavaScript has a bigger role in the game. So outside in the real world, you should be using animations in CSS and not in JavaScript. So again, guys, DevWars is completely different. We have a different set of rules and workflow to meet the needs of this game. Okay, so I mean, let's see what they have going on over here on the red team. So have they started their tab content yet? As we saw on the wireframe, I mean, I see their product list, and they have a div class for cart. And now I find that kind of interesting, because this is what they're probably styling right here, unless I'm incorrect. Let me just double check. Yeah, this cart class is standing outside of their main div for products, which is this bit right here. And so this is the entire products div, and then right below that they do have a class called cart, and I find that interesting how they interpret this part of the wireframe as a cart. But we might see them rename that later on, we don't know, but pretty much they have to make these tabs. But of course they can interpret this completely differently, and that's fine. I mean, that's the whole point of this game. Let's see what the blue team has done so far. Okay, so definitely more stuff starting to take place. They still have this padding and margin over here that they have not resetted. Their website is not completely fluid, but they did resize all their images, so that looks nice. Are they going to be able to create this 4-column grid with the time that's left on the clock here? Who knows, guys? Who knows? Only time will tell at this point on. I'm going to have to start drinking some of this coffee here before it gets cold on me. If you guys haven't already, please support the stream by heading on over to Reddit and making a post linking to the stream in a subreddit that's relative to this kind of stream, so that way we have new designers and new developers who can enjoy something new and educational. Any reason not to use mchild for items? Now there shouldn't be any reason why they aren't using it. I just, either they haven't got around to it or they haven't thought of it. What up, Syntag chat? What's happening, Seek Happiness? Seek Happiness is one of my loyal viewers. I recognize that name anywhere. He's just one of them. I have quite a number of loyal viewers that pop in every single time I stream, even when I'm not streaming DevWars, and I just want to take this time to appreciate them, I guess. Okay, so over here we do see some fun, awesome syntax over here. So let's see how that looks on their website. So right here, guys, you see this? We do have these icons, and those are actually being imported by their font awesome. And now I don't even know if Red Team has font awesome inside of their code. I don't believe they do, but if you look over here, guys, Red Team is, I mean, they've just been on fire this entire game. Ask me if I'm a cactus. You are a loyal viewer. I do recognize you as well. I mean, guys, I can go all day naming a list of names of my loyal viewers. Okay, so yes, I mean they have, I mean Red Team is just on fire, guys, over here on design. But then again, that is not everything. That is just part of their objectives is their design. And yes, FadeX, who is playing CSS on the Red Team, is just doing a fantastic job on styling everything. He is making sure that he is constantly, you know, just adding properties. I mean, like, I'm looking over here, I see a selector right over here on the header. It looks like he is just still, right there, look, he's still adding stuff. Whereas, I don't know if I could say the same for Blue Team. I mean, every now and then I'll look over here and there just nothing is going on over here. And that's not good. I mean, the majority of the time spent on the CSS over here on the Blue Team, it's just idle. Just idle time, just literally not typing in any code. That's what that is. And if you look over here on the body tag, they could have totally added, you know, just simply 2 lines of code, margin :0, and then padding :0, and that would actually remove this problem that we see over here. And again, you guys can't really see it, but there is a, you know, margin at the top left of this that is added with the browser's default styles over here. So far we haven't seen either team add the video, and that's unfortunate because that is a point that's going to be deducted from their overall score. So if Blue Team can somehow manage to at least complete their objectives, they would at least have a chance in winning this game. Ironically, I mean, I know, guys, if Blue Team ends up winning, I mean, compared to this design, it's like you would ask the question, but why? I mean, but the real thing is, guys, design isn't everything in a website. Well, at least in this case. Bitter Mandel, welcome to DevWars. We hope you're enjoying the stream here. So the way we have the game set up here is design isn't everything. Because, I mean, the way we first set up DevWars is you would just vote, okay, which team has a better website? And you would just say Blue Team or Red Team, and then that would be it. But, I mean, if we did it that way, then we wouldn't be able to appreciate the work that's being done over here on the Blue Team in the JavaScript. I mean, JXT C-Man, who's playing JavaScript over here on the Blue Team, is just, look at him. He's doing a fantastic job. He has more than 3 times the amount of code over here on top of the Red Team. Now, depending on how this functions, they would take a majority of the points. So, I mean, part of winning this game is completing objectives and winning different categories of votes. What program do you use to create a wireframe like that? For the wireframe we used, it was Illustrator. Okay, so I guess while I have the time to, you guys should totally head on over to devwars.tv/play. If you are interested in playing in the very next game right after this, just go to devwars.tv/play. If one of my moderators can please post the direct link to that webpage so that you guys can apply for the next game. Okay, guys, we have 9 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. What can these teams accomplish in that amount of time? Now, we always say that during this time, both teams should be very mindful of the clock, making sure that they fix whatever isn't working, because if they spend this time working on new things, they do risk the chance of their website being broken by the time the clock hits 0, because the way this game works is when the clock hits 0 and they have like a missing tag or a missing semicolon, or just something very minute, it can just break the entire web page, and their team sorry, excuse me, their team has to take the hit for that, right? And so you don't want that. So that's why we always encourage the team to just be mindful of the clock, at this point of time, because you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy on your team that just ruins all of the hard work that your team has put together, all because of a little semicolon or a tag that wasn't closed. So that's the way it works here. So if my moderators can please just inform them, that of the time. So there's 8 minutes left on the clock, and let's just see what blue team has accomplished so far. Blue team, we're currently just looking at blue team. This is the wireframe that they have to accomplish over here. So we have the wireframe to the right and blue team's website to the left. Okay, so you can see similarities in here. I'm just gonna start clicking on stuff and seeing if there's a way of adding stuff to the cart. I mean, I don't see anything working right now. I mean, we do see a lot of code over here on the blue team's JavaScript, but none of it matters if it doesn't work. I mean, he has a lot of functions in there and stuff, but if it doesn't work, then they technically accomplish nothing. Okay, now let's head on over to the red team and let's see what they've accomplished. They still haven't added the video background. Well, actually, hold that thought. They do have something there, but this does have to be full width. So they're probably working on that as we speak. They have an interesting logo right here. It's just flowers. It's really cute, but of course it doesn't really matter what they put there. So they're obviously the closest to this wireframe here. So they have the little header up there. They have the logo in the center. Everything's full width. They have the featured content that's indicated by this video icon. I mean, all these boxes over here are specified over here what they mean. So they know that green is navigation. They know that blue means guides or boxes. They know that blue is images, red is video, purple is text. So this is the wireframe, and they're really close. They're definitely going to win on the wireframe from what we see, because if we go back over here, blue team we're about there's 5 minutes left on the clock. Well, actually 6 minutes left on the clock. I don't see it being possible for blue team to make anything happen on the design with this amount of time left on the clock. So unfortunately, blue team is probably just going to have to just take that hit. Let's look over here right now. Blue team is adding some more styles over here. So we have product, the product class, it looks like, product image. Okay, so, he's still doing stuff over here, so that's good. It's good that he didn't give up. Okay, look at this. So, over here in the blue team, he wrote something in here, and I think this is for us, and he wrote throw, and in quotations he wrote, "Oh God, why, what happened?" So I think what he's trying to say is he threw the game, or somebody on the game threw the game, because nothing is working as far as what we could see on the blue team's website. Look at this though. He's coded a lot of stuff, but again, none of it matters if it doesn't work, because the objectives of the game were to have it to where you would have a product list that would load from an array, that would animate in, and then they would also have to create a way to add items to the cart using JavaScript. And then last but not least, their last objective was to have a full width video background that auto plays without any audio or controls. So those were all three objectives. There's plenty of ways to win in this game. You don't have to necessarily be the best designer to win in this game. So, but it doesn't look like blue team is going to be able to benefit from their JavaScript, because something is just not working over here. I haven't caught all of DevWars, but I've watched quite a few where the teams just don't finish. I would love to see a slightly longer version where they actually get to finish and turn in a more polished version. Well, the problem with that is, 60 minutes is already a very long game, and, I mean, of course, we'd like to have you guys watching this stream all day and all week, but, people have to get stuff done. They can't be watching the stream the entire time. Eventually they have to leave. So 60 minutes is what we found to be balanced, and it's just the perfect amount of time to have a good game. And both teams don't necessarily have to finish. I mean, if they finish, obviously that's awesome. Okay, guys, 3 minutes left on the clock. What can these teams accomplish in that amount of time? I mean, that's not very much time. I mean, that time's just gonna go like that. It's just gonna be over with, very shortly here. I'm not gonna be opening the live preview any longer from now on, because I'm just gonna wait until the game finishes. That way it would be almost like a surprise to see what the website looks like by the time the clock hits 0. So over down here you guys see, you guys can actually see how there's that that border that I was talking about, that margin and padding that was never reset by the CSS guy, and that's Hip Lunatic playing CSS on the blue team. Guys, just 2 minutes left on the clock. Moderators, please inform both teams of the time so they know that there's just 2 minutes left on the clock. I mean, guys, that's not enough time to do anything, really. We're seeing stuff on the blue team. I mean, they're adding things as we speak, but yeah. So over here, I do notice that footer content is misspelled. Now let's see if their CSS guy noticed that and incorrectly spelled it to target it correctly. I don't no, because look over here on CSS on the red team, they did spell it correctly, whereas opposed to on the red team's HTML, they spelled that incorrectly. So what's gonna happen here is that style right here, that with 800 pixels, is never going to be applied to this right here, and that's going to be a problem, especially if they want it to look a certain way. So hopefully, somebody notices that on their team. Okay, guys, just 1 minute left on the clock. You guys have been watching them code so far for 59 minutes. A lot has been accomplished. You guys can see those objectives right there on the screen. Just 60 minutes. Moderators, please pop into their TeamSpeak. Let them know. Guys, there's like 50 seconds left on the clock. Sometimes teams are unbalanced, so after 30 minutes you see there is no use to continue. Having veterans only once in a while promises extremely interesting games. Any comments and tag? No, I completely agree with you. What we had was the teams that were on blue team, they said they were either intermediate or experts. So, I mean, we had to have base their skill level based on what they told us, and obviously we're not really seeing their skill level reflect, on what they've done so far here today. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the game is over, guys. You guys have been watching them code for exactly an hour now, and okay, so what my moderators are going to do from here on out is they just locked all their documents. So at this point, nobody on either blue team or red team can make any adjustments on their documents. Okay, so wow, good game, both blue team and red team. Let's see, guys. I'm going to refresh the page. I drank a lot of coffee, guys. I feel pretty caffeinated right now. Okay, so good game, guys. Good game. We're looking at both websites right now. Okay, so these are the websites that are up to date. The players from both blue team and red team are both in the chat right now, so you guys can compliment them, give them your feedback right now, because they are in the chat. I do ask players on blue team and red team to stay in your TeamSpeak, because we are going to have an interview with you now very shortly. Okay, Okay, so now let's take a look at the blue team first. Okay, so let's look at the blue team next to the wireframe. Okay, so this is the wireframe they're trying to, you know, base it off of, right? Can my moderators please post the direct link to the website so that people can look at the website in their own browser, you know, and rescale it however they want or whatever. Just be patient while my moderators get you guys that link. Okay, so over here on the blue team, this is what their design looks like. I mean, they have the content in there. I mean, I have to kind of scroll to the right to see the rest of this, and that's because, you know, it's not completely fluid. It's not responsive. Okay, they did have their navigation bars centered over here. And we've seen it for a while, not centered in the website. So let's scroll down here. They don't have their featured image, I mean video over here, so that's not in there, and that's indicated by this big red box over here. Okay, and then they have their products. And now let's rescale this and see if this changes. And nope, they didn't make it in a grid format like you see on the wireframe. So it has nothing to do with the resolution I'm viewing at. And then down here, does this work? No, it doesn't. So the way this was supposed to work, well, it's not an objective. But the way it was supposed to work was it was supposed to be, you know, tabs where you would click and it would change the content. And then down here, you know, we have the image over here that wasn't rescaled. And then, you know, yeah, the social media link. So that's their website, guys. This is blue team. Now let's switch on over to red team and see what they've accomplished. Okay, so obviously their website is looking very clean. We do have some of the website cut off at the top there, and that's because of the overlay. But again, we do have direct links posted to these websites in the chat, so you guys can just click on it and look at the website for yourself in your own browser. Okay, so we have the navigation over here. It looks beautiful. It doesn't look like they were able to get that featured video over here, unfortunately. So yes, unfortunately. But they did have this, they were able to start, okay, let me scroll down here. They were able to have, you know, this 4-column grid, and it looks very much like the blue team, I mean the wireframe over here you see to the left. So fantastic job there. And then of course they have their text over here, but they weren't able to copy this content over to the rest of these. But I mean, I would say that red team did a fantastic job referring to this wireframe. I mean, everything over here looks very, very close. But again, both teams did do a fantastic job. So what we're going to be voting on right now, guys, is design. So I'm going to be throwing up a poll. And so what you guys are going to do is you guys are going to vote. Which team has the best, which team created their website closest to the wireframe? And so it's either blue team or red team. So all you have to do to vote is type blue or red in the chat, and your vote will update live on the screen here. And that's the way we vote. And we're going to be voting for 2 minutes. As soon as I see, the clock will start as soon as I see the first vote come in. Okay, so right there, the first vote came in. So we're going to be waiting for 2 minutes here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to lock in whatever, whichever team has the highest amount of points. Yes, the teams can vote. You guys absolutely can vote. Okay, so which team has their website closest to the wireframe? You guys can just type in blue or red, and that will add your vote to the screen. Okay, and now I'm gonna post the direct link to the wireframe so that you guys can see for yourself what the wireframe looks like. There are going to be some other things we're going to be voting on as well. Can my moderators please give me an update as to what the objective score is? So each team had 3 sets of objectives that they were supposed to complete. So we are going to be voting for just 1 more minute here, guys. Just 1 more minute. I am looking at the time. So in order to vote, all you have to do is type blue or red in the chat, and your vote will be accounted for live on the screen here. So, which team created their website closest to the wireframe? I mean, obviously, it looks like red is going to take the win here on this. So, yeah, we're about 5 seconds left before I close the poll. Okay, so the poll is closed now. So good job, red team, for doing an awesome job working with that wireframe. Now what we're gonna vote is on functionality. Well, before we do that, let's do this. Let's see if any of their website works. So let's start clicking on stuff over here on the blue team. I mean, okay, so far nothing's working. We did see a lot of JavaScript over here on the blue team, but unfortunately they have nothing to show for. Now let's look over here on the red team. Let's click add to cart. Check this out, guys. I mean, they are adding stuff over here, so stuff is definitely going on. I mean, obviously they didn't make it work perfectly, but I mean, it's working. It's doing stuff. It's appending stuff to the cart. I mean, that's better than what blue team has. I mean, blue team has absolutely nothing to show for their JavaScript. Even though JXTC man was doing a fantastic job writing out that JavaScript, it just doesn't do anything. So unfortunately, it sucks for them. But he did still do a fantastic job, with that JavaScript. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to vote one more time, and that's just which team has the best functionality. And then once we get these these results in, then our moderators are going to give us the update as to how many points we're going to deduct from the total. Based on the objectives they completed. So I'm going to be waiting for that. So guys, it's either blue or red. Which team has the best functionality? I mean, obviously guys, it's a clear win for red, but we have to go through the motions, because we don't want to miss out on this, the whole viewer interactive experience. So we did see, a bit of unbalanced teams over here, and we're going to diminish stuff like this in the future. I mean, you guys have to understand that DevWars is a work in progress. There's still a lot to be done, and my staff and I are working very, very hard to refine DevWars to be, the best it could ever be. I mean, we're always making it a goal to have DevWars be better than the last. Okay, so guys, you know what? We're just going to close the poll because I'm sure that I mean, there hasn't even been a single vote on blue, and I mean, blue got wrecked during this game completely. I mean, the synergy that was on red team was just phenomenal. It just couldn't be beat. So, I mean, I don't even think I have to wait for my moderators to give me the objective sheet. But, I mean, technically they're both not functional, but red team does have some sort of functionality in here. I mean, they have something. They have something. And I'm just going to go back to the code one more time. I mean, you guys can see, look. I mean, look how much code is written in red team. I mean, they have 22 lines of code. 22. But over here, we look at the JavaScript that was written on blue team, and look at this, guys. They have like 4 times the amount of code over here in the JavaScript. But unfortunately, it's really hard to carry the team as as a JavaScript role. So I mean, JXTC man did his best, but unfortunately his team was not able to to back him up and work well with him. But anyways, guys, it looks like I'm going to announce the winner. It looks like red team is the winner, so we are going to have a party on this side. Congratulations, red team. Huge round of applause to them. They've just put up an excellent show. I mean, congratulations to the blue team as well. I mean, thanks for participating. You did your best. You didn't give up. So we've had players in the past who just kind of gave up. I know that it wasn't fair, but you know, we were basing the what do you call it? The these skill levels on how we're balancing out the teams based on what they said their skill levels were. So they told us that their skill level was intermediate or above. So I mean, we're gonna be working out the whole skill level system in the future. But congratulations, Red Team. We're gonna actually be popping into the TeamSpeak chat, and we're gonna be interviewing Red Team and just congratulating. Hey, what's up, Red Team? This is Syntag.
Hello.
Hi.
Congratulations, guys. How did you feel during the game? I mean, how was it working with a wireframe?
Well,
Everything just went wrong all the time.
Yeah, it was like, wow, there's so much we are fucked up, and we were the whole time basically.
Wow, I mean, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pressure, I'm sure. I mean, 60 minutes is not, you know, a lot of time to get all this done. I mean,
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys did very well together. Do you guys work on projects outside of DevWars together?
No.
No.
Oh, so this is the first time you guys actually ever worked together on a actual web design project.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
like me and Felix sometimes, but yeah, this is the first time we were working with Barton.
Yeah, I mean, your site looks phenomenal. I mean, you guys were definitely ahead of the blue team, as you guys saw. But I mean, the synergy on your team was just fantastic. I mean, I think you guys put up an excellent show. Now, I'm just kind of curious. I did see you guys trying to work on that video background. That was one of the objectives here, and I see you guys weren't able to actually get that into the final website. I'm just kind of wondering, what was the struggles with that?
Well, I tried, but there was always something else to do. Like, there was so much to do, and like Felix and Deppel always needed me for something else. So I didn't have time for the video.
I see. Okay, so you were more kind of, you know, just helping out your other teammates. So you just didn't have the time to.
Yeah, I was like adding HTML on the page. Yeah.
That's cool, man. I mean, it's good to take on that responsibility to make sure your team is doing okay because, you know, obviously, as we saw on the blue team, I mean, JXTC man was doing just a fantastic job, you know, just coding away here. But I mean, I'm not sure what the communication was like. I'm gonna ask them, but I mean, you know, they could have probably helped out each other. But then again, I'm not sure what happened over there. But I just want to congratulate you guys. Is there anything you guys want to say to all the viewers?
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. All right, guys. Thanks again for playing. Hope to see you guys around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. See ya.
What's up, blue team? What's poppin'? Are you guys there?
Hey, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Okay, so I just got finished interviewing the red team, so I just kind of want to ask, you know, what exactly was going on as far as communication on your team?
Well, I think part of the issue is we had a bit. We felt like we were a little bit too much for what was asked of us. The HTML side, I think it came together okay, but we kind of lost track of what we were doing, and
Okay.
I don't think we had enough combined skill level to get it done in time.
Would you guys, have any of you guys watched previous DevWars? Well, actually, I know actually for a fact 2 of you guys have. Who's speaking to me currently?
Surima.
Oh, okay. So would you say that this game would have been easier if wireframes weren't involved?
No, honestly, I think the wireframe helped a bit, but I think this was too much was asked for what the time allotment was.
I see. Okay. But I mean, you guys did as much as you possibly could, I see here. Now, with JavaScript, I'm kind of curious, what happened over here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the other team was much more pragmatic than I was. Like, they just wrote the code that they needed to make the website like look good and work just for the moment. But yeah, I wrote way too much, and like as if the website was going to go live somewhere, and obviously it wasn't, and I ran out of time.
Oh, man, I mean, you definitely, I could tell, you know what you're doing in JavaScript. So I just want to applaud you for that. I appreciate the work you've done over here. Hopefully, we see you play again in the future as JavaScript. How about CSS? What were the struggles that you know, I've noticed that there weren't too many styles being added, you know, often. Was there a reason for that? Were you helping out your other teams? Were you trying to figure out what's going on?
Well, I didn't get the product list, the grid, until 5 minutes before the end. So
Yeah, my bad.
I couldn't style it if it wasn't available to me. So that made things kind of difficult.
That I can imagine why that was difficult for you. Man, so that's very unfortunate. I wish we would have known that, so we could have, you know, supplied you with the wireframe. But I mean, unfortunately, the game is over now. But I just want to, you know, congratulate you guys, anyways, for just not giving up and, you know, doing your very best to stay in the game. Is there anything you guys want to say to the viewers that are watching right now?
Thanks for supporting DevWars, and I hope you guys can sign up and try it out yourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for playing.